Gauranga tumi more Dayanacha Deho Gauranga tumi more Dayanacha Deho Apana Kareya Ranga Sharanera Eo Gauranga Tumi More Dayanacha Deo Gauranga Tomara charana lage sabadeya gelo Shetala charana paya sharana laeno Gauranga tumi more dayana chadiyo Gauranga Om ekule akule mui telo telanjali Rakiya charan more apanarambali Gauranga tumi more dayana chandiyo Gauranga Vasudeva Goshe bole charane dariya Grepa kore rakho more pada chaya diya Gauranga tumi more dayana chadiyo Apana kare aranga apana kare aranga apana kare aranga charan rakhiyo Jaya Sachinanda Gaurare Sachinanda Jaya Gaurare Ya Gaurahe 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 Gaurahe
Deckite, Deckite. 97 im Deutschen. Deckite, Deckite, Bulibaba Kabe, Nichastula Parichaya, Nayane Riba, Rajapura Shopa, Nitya Chitananda Moya. dekite dekite Puri Baba Kabe Nicha Stula Parichaya Nayane Heriba Rajampura Shopa Nicha Supananda Maya Dekite dekite Puri Baba Kabe Nicha Stula Parichaya Shit Ananda Maya, Nitya Shit Ananda Maya, Nitya Sura Parichaya, Nitya Shit Ananda Maya, Nitya Shit Ananda Maya, Nitya Sura Parichaya, Jaya Rate.
Bhatsauri mana Sinandanandana Abhayacharana Bhatsauri mana Sinandanandana Abhayacharana Gulapamanava Chanama Sansange Gulapamanava Chanama Sansange Gulapamanava Chanama Sansange Taro Eva Mana Sinandanandana Bhayacharana Govinda Saure Mana Ananandana Matsahure Mana Sinandanandana Bhayacharana Govinda Sita Antapa Matabarisana Edinachamini Ntagire Sita Atapa Pataparishana Ninita Gire Shita Atapa Bipale Sevino Kripana Durachana Bipale Sevino Kripana Durachana Bipale Sevino Chapala Sukala Bala Achaure Mana Shinanda Nandana Apaya Charana Ravinda Machaure Mana Shinanda Nandana Apaya Charana Ravinda Idanna Jobana Puttaparitsana Itike Atsipara Titire Idanna Jobana Puttaparitsana Itike Atsipara Titire Kamala dala chala Jivana tala mala Kamala dala Kamala dala chala Jivana tala mala Kamala dala chala Bachau hari pada Nintire Bachau Achaure Mana Shinanda Nandana Payachavana Ravinda Shavana Kirtana Smarana Vandana Pada Sevana Nasare Savana Kirtana Smarana Vandana Pada Sevana Nasare Puchana Sakitana Atmani Vedana Puchana Sakitana Puchana Sakitana Atmani Vedana Puchana Sakitana Govinda Dasa Pedashare Govinda Achaure Mana Shinanda Nandana Payacharana Ravinda Devajaure Mana Kulapamana Bhakshanama Sansange Kulapamana Bhakshanama Satsange Thago Eva Bhakshanto Thago Eva Bhakshanto Thago Eva Dasagama Dapamaga. Jetzt kommt Dasagama Dapamaga. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Nitai go premanande Jai Shri Gokulcandra Gokusanya Dhamita Vikidhari Srila Srila Bhakti Vilan Srila Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudeva Srila Gurudeva Asada Benindra Ki Jai Sri Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya Ki Jai Sri Rupananda Bhagavad Ki Jai Sri Srila Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Thanks to God Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Vaishnava Radha Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavind Ki Jai Sri Navadvip Maya Pradhan Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopagopi Govardhan Dvadasanaatmaka Sri Patsamandra Ki Jai Syama Kunda Radha Kunda Mona Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Kantarat Siman Bhagavatam Ki Jai Prihat Minanga Ki Jai Sri Gurudev Abhyabhav Adhivastiti Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Sri Gaura Premanande Hari Tomorrow everyone should prepare to speak something.
Präparation. Ich habe die zwei gemacht. Ich habe die zwei Präparationen mitgenommen.
Vandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupanuga Prabharam Brajarasarasikam Cha Narayanam Tam Prapanam Shri Guru Charanam Vande Ramana Prishtaya Putale Rupanuga Bhakti Tam Cha Kripamuti Narayanam Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutirayed Ajanulambida Bhujo Kanakavadato Sankirtana Kapitaro Kamala Yataksho Vishvambaro Dvijabaro Yugadama Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karuna Avataro Bhaktyavina Aparada Lakshay Kshiptascha Kamadi Tarangamadye Kripa Mahitam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanaravindam Brindavanavani Pate Jaya Soma Soma Mole Sanaka Sanandana Sanatana Radetya Gopeshvara Vraja Vilasi Gankre Patme Prema Prayacha Nirupadi Namo Namaste Shyama Sundara Shikhanda Shekha Smiraha Samurali Manohara Radhika Rasikamam Kripanide Swapriya Charana Kinkarum Kuru Vanshakapatarupascha Kripa Sindhu Pevacha Patitanam Bhavanibho Vaishnavibho Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So before speaking, I offer my most humble obeisances, lotus feet of my worshipful Divine Master, Om Vishnu Brahman Savaraj Gachaya Ashtodhar Sata Yugachaya Bhakta Bandhav Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and the lotus feet of his dear God brothers and friends, Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivedanta Trigam Goswami Maharaj. Offer my humble obeisances and lotus feet of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who spread Krishna consciousness in the West, and my spiritual grandfather, the lion-like Acharya Srila Bhakti Brighan Kesha Goswami Maharaj, as well as all Rupanuka Vaishnavas and devotees of the Lord. So we are celebrating the appearance day, the 101st birthday of our Srila Gurudev, our life and soul, who has brought us together as a family and put us on the spiritual path towards Golok Vrindavan, Gokul Vrindavan, and who has introduced us Nama Shrishtam Munamapisha Chiputram Atrasra Rupam Tassakrajam Urupuram Matarim Goshtavatam Radhakundam Girivaram Aho Radhikamarvasham Prapto Yasyapatitita Kripayashi Kurum Tam Natusmi. He has given us the treasure of the holy name, Namashishtam Manumapisha Chiputram. He has given us Chachinandan, Gaurahari, Rupa and Swarup Goswami, the elder brother Sanatan Goswami. He has given us entrance into the holy Dham, like Mathura Dham, Vrindavan Dham, Mayapur Dham, Vrindavan Dham. And he has given us he revealed to us the most holy and secret truths of the Bhagavatam and of the holy places, which is Sri Radhakund. He has revealed to us the Swarup of Giriraj Govardhan as Haridashavarya. So we owe everything that we have in our spiritual life, we owe to Srila Gurudev. Without him, we would not even, maybe we would have heard these things, but we would not been any chance to understand them. Srila Gurudev, he mercifully has given us Diksha, Divya Gyanam. He has given us entrance into the school where we may attain transcendental knowledge by Vaishnava Seva, by studying scriptures under their guidance, and by chanting the holy names, and therefore Jiva Vidyavadu Jivanam, may transcendental knowledge may manifest in our hearts. So there's no way to begin really how to glorify Srila Gurudev, since he is the beginning, middle, and end of our spiritual life. Only starts with him, it can only continue under his guidance and help and support. And ultimate, Shri Guru Charana Padma, Sakala Shreyara Rasatma, his lotus feet are the ultimate goal, the ultimate treasure of our lives. So This day also marks Mona Vavasya. Mona means silence. Why silence is because Shiva, Mahadev, God of gods, Vaishnavanam Yatar Shambhu, best of the Vaishnavas, he had been silent for a long time. He had stopped speaking Harikatha, he stopped speaking the Bhagavatam. He had stopped glorifying Sri Krishna and Srimati Radhika in song and singing their names. Like we know, he likes to glorify them, like Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam, Kataka Rishasimam, Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam. Lord Shiva himself, he always praying for the merciful sidelong glance of Srimati Radhika. But to speak Harikatha, there needs to be a qualified listener. Otherwise, inspiration will not come into the heart of the Vaishnava to speak and share these jewels if there's not a worthy recipient. It has to be drawn out. It is like Srila Gurudeva described, for the cow to give milk, there has to be a calf. This example is given in regards to Srimad Bhagavad Gita. The Vedas, they're like the cow. And Arjuna is like the calf. And Krishna, he is like the cowherd man who is milking the cow and distributing the milk to Arjuna and all others. So who was that qualified recipient of Mahadev's Harikatha? Was Sati, his eternal consort, his Shakti wife. But due to circumstance, she had given up her body in the sacrificial arena of her father Daksha. Due to abuses that had been hurled towards her pati, Shivaji. So, when she was gone, she was very dear to Mahadev because she was always very eager to hear his Harikatha. So, when she was gone, then Shiva, he became silent. So Shiva, who himself means auspiciousness, if he becomes silent, then auspiciousness is not in this world. Auspiciousness comes into this world by Mangalmai Shri Krishna, who is auspiciousness personified. Everything about him is auspicious. His names, his form, his quality, his pastimes, even remembrance of him, just remembering his name is auspicious. Speaking his name, anything about him is auspicious. So when the only way he is brought into this world by the Vaishnavas, like he is called by Advaitacharya, he is called by the gods, by the great Vaishnavas who had become powerful ministers and administrators of this universe. By the call of the Vaishnavas, then Krishna, he appears in this world. When Krishna dances on their tongue, when he is directly manifested there, then Krishna comes into this world in the form of the Bhagavatam. He comes into the world of Nam Prabhu. So Shiva stopped speaking, and therefore the Krishna in the form of Bhagavatam, in the form of Nam Prabhu, ceased blessing this world by his presence. Therefore this universe became dark and gloomy. What happened is that naturally, if the light of Krishna, the self-effulgent Supreme Personality of Godhead, is not present in this universe, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, then we lose our inspiration. We again become Krishna Bahimukh. We become adverse to Shri Krishna. We become absorbed naturally into the affairs of this mundane realm. So Shivji, he stopped speaking, and therefore people stopped performing devotional service and naturally became overwhelmed by greed and envy, lust, and all the enemies conquering our hearts and minds and lying a noose around our necks, which is binding us through the laws, through the effects of our own misdeeds. So in that situation, all the gods, they appealed to Lord Shiva. But Shiva would not break his silence. So somehow, by their prayers and insistence, then they somehow acquired Parvati, a daughter of the Himalayas. So Parvati came, and they offered her to Lord Shiva. Parvati herself had performed long austerities in Kanyakumari, at the southernmost tip of India. There's a temple there where Sri Parvati, she performed austerity. In the place is named after her. Kanyakumari means the youthful princess, the virgin princess, Parvati. She was the reincarnation of Sati, and she had no desire but to have Shiva as a husband. She was very, very eager to receive his guidance, to receive his shiksha, his katha, to hear his song. So the gods, they offered Parvati towards Lord Shiva, and then Shiva, being reunited with his Shakti and finding a worthy recipient of his Harikatha, started speaking again tomorrow on Mona Amavasya. So very fitting day, since on that day our Srila Gurudeva appeared in this world, who blessed this earthly realm by his Harikatha. Very powerful and very elevated and sweet Harikatha, which manifested the spiritual realm within the hearts and minds of all the citizens of this earth. Anybody who came in contact with him, may be in Mathura, in Vrindavan, Mayapur, Jaipur, Puri, or somewhere in Badger or Holland, Germany, Russia, Australia, Brazil, anywhere Srila Gurudeva went, he brought with him Vrindavan Braj. Therefore, his Shri Guru Charana Padma, these are called lotus feet. Why the lotus? Since the lotus grows within the water, is rooted within the water, but it never touches the water. So similarly, Srila Gurudeva, he appears to be walking on this earth, but truly he never walks on this earth. He always walks in Vrindavan. Therefore, wherever he goes, he brings Vrindavan. And how does he manifest Vrindavan? He manifests Vrindavan by his powerful Harikatha, by his Nam Bhajan. So, Srila Gurudeva appeared on this Mona Amavasya. He comes from Bihar, Buxa district, the village of Tiwaripur, near the Ganga. There he is the son of Baleshwarnath Tiwari and Lakshmi Devi. And they were called Tiwari also, just that was their village where they lived, was the village of the dynasty of the Tiwaris, very near the Ganga. So the fragrance of the Ganga was there present, her purifying atmosphere. And his family were very highly qualified brahmanas who were initiated into the Sri Sampradaya, worshipping Lord Ram. So on this very day of Mauna Amavasya, they welcomed one sadhu, like they would host regularly that family, the grandfather and also Gurudeva's father. They would regularly host sadhus, and they would invite people for Harikatha. It's very well known within the village. So that on that Mauna Amavasya, one sadhu came and he spoke very powerful Harikatha. He asked everybody that he will speak only if they are ready to follow what he's speaking. He's a very pure-hearted saint. So at the end of the Harikatha, Baleshwanath Tiwari and his wife Lakshmi Devi, they approached that sadhu and they opened their hearts to him. This is sadhu sangha. Dadati pratikrinati kuyam akyati punkta potrayata chaiva satvidam pritilakshanam. To host, to give the things that are needed for the sadhus, to offer them prasadam, to accept their prasadam, to accept their gifts, and to inquire with an open heart and submit one's questions and realization and inquire from the sadhu of theirs. So there, in that sadhu sangha, they inquired from that sadhu, we are without children, and we are traumatized since our first child died in childbirth. And also we are thinking we don't want to have any ordinary child because we want to perform our sadhan and bhajan. We don't want to be entangled, we don't want to be diverted from our worship. Like if we have any ordinary child, then we will forget about God. We'll be too much busy maintaining family, maintaining him and maintaining his desires. So we would like that qualified Vaishnava will come in our family. And especially we have desire that we in our line, we know so much about the glories of Sri Lord Ramachandra, of Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman, and Bharat, Sadrugna, Sugriva, and all the great associates of Lord Ramachandra, Vibhishan. But we would like to hear some katha of Sri Krishna Chandra, some Braj katha, some pastimes of Vrindavan. So then that sadhu advised them, if you want to have qualified Vaishnava in your house, you should approach the topmost Vaishnava, Lord Shiva, and ask for his blessings. So, by his instruction, then on the following Shivaratri, the night of Lord Shiva, then when Shiva is getting married with Parvati in Madurai, in Tamil Nadu, then there you should perform vrat for the pleasure of Lord Shiva. You should fast and you should narrate the Bhagavatam. So Baleshwanath Tiwari and his wife, they went from early morning throughout the whole day and through the night until the next morning. They performed brat for Lord Shiva, performing yagya, abhishek, puja, and reciting the Bhagavatam, fasting even from water. So then in the next morning, when their vrat was completed early in the morning, they both fell asleep slightly for a short while. And during that dream, both of them, independently from each other, had a wonderful dream where they saw a great Sankirtan party of golden effulgent personalities. And out of these golden effulgent personalities, one stepped forwards. So they both were too much captivated by the presence, aura, and beauty, youth of that personality. And they awoke and with amazement shared that they both had the same experience and saw this as a sign that a great Vaishnava will appear within their family. So sometime after Lakshmi Devi, she became pregnant, and then exactly 1 year after they have received that Harikatha of that sadhu, Srila Gurudeva appeared in this world. There in the house of Tivaripur, in a special room. Like in India, the wife goes to a special room for birth. And then the family priest, when he heard, he quickly came. And he saw that beautiful child with amazingly blue, wonderful blue eyes, and natural tilak mark on his forehead, and all the bodily features of a Mahapurusha. Like Srila Gurudeva has very, very auspicious bodily features. Like on all of his fingertips, he has chakras. He has this mark here on the right cheek, very auspicious on a man, and he has like lots of like his ears, facial features, his bodily, his very fine hands, and long and well-formed feet. And so Srila Gurudeva, he showed all the auspicious signs. He's very, very peaceful and very simple and quiet. And when he came into this world, spontaneously, all the family members, everybody there in the house, they spontaneously chanted, Hari, Hari, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So they nicknamed him Bholenath. Narayan Tiwari, Bholenath, because he was very peaceful, just like Lord Shiva. He's very peaceful, he's very simple. He's never disturbed. So also Srila Gurudeva is always very simple and never disturbed. Always very eager to hear Harikatha. He tells himself like how his father would regularly take him into assemblies of the sadhus where they would mostly tell Ram Katha. And Srila Gurudeva, he would very eagerly listen to that Ram Katha, always happy to go to these assemblies. And he had so much strong faith. Prabhuji tells how in school, Gurudev, he was top student, class monitor. And he was very, especially when it comes to athletic features, Gurudev will always be first. Long jump, short jump, run, anything, swimming, Gurudev would always... Long jump, short jump, I don't know. 3 jump. High jump, sorry, high jump. So he always first, but also like very smart, intelligent student. So Srila Gurudeva, there was one story Prabhuji tells, how there was one boy in the class who was very naughty boy, always teasing and playing tricks. So one day one day he did something naughty, and the teacher, as punishment, put him inside a cupboard, locked him inside a cupboard, and then the boy was quiet for some time, but then he started shouting, "Oh, there's a snake here! There's a snake here!" and he rattling on the door. But everybody ignored him because, especially the teacher ignored him, because everybody knew how he's just always tricking and teasing. So then it became quiet. And then they checked and they saw the boy was there, and truly there was a snake that had wrapped around him and bitten him. So then Srila Gurudev, he inspired everyone to take shelter with Lord Ram and to chant his glories and chant his names. And then by the power of that kirtan, the boy came back to life, and he became actually very good boy, and always so much respect for Srila Gurudev. Reminds me, there's this one famous picture of Srila Gurudev that we have. We have this one picture of Gurudev. He's very young. I think everybody has seen it. That is not Srila Gurudev. Prabhu told. It's the brother of Srila Gurudev. I was like the youngest picture of Srila Gurudev that we have. There were the youngest photograph, black and white, where he looks into the camera. I cannot show it to you now. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, I know because the Madhavrat Prabhu, he's publishing this photo book of Gurudev, and he asked Prabhuji to look at it and give his blessings, and that's like the first picture, one of the first pictures in the book. And then Prabhuji immediately said, "This is not Gurudev, this is the brother of Gurudev." Anyhow, it doesn't really matter. Anyhow, Srila Gurudev, we all know there's so many pastimes, but what we can see very clearly is his all throughout his life, his deep attachment and taste for Harikatha and for Kirtan. And he also he had a very, very strong attachment to hearing Ramkatha. Srila Gurudev says himself that he would often then in his dreams Sitaram and Hanuman and others would appear in his dreams. He would see them there. So then also when Gurudev first come to the mat, he would secretly read Tulsi Ramayana, keep that, he had like a Gaudiya book, some Gaudiya book, but inside the book he had the Tulsi Ramayana, reading the Tulsi Marayan. Very yeah. Actually, among Gurudev's disciples, there's also one Ram Bhakta in Houston. What's his name? Arun also? Yeah, Arun. Yeah, he's Ram Bhakta. So, anyhow, Shri Gurudev tells how you all know that, how he then he met Narottamananda Prabhu and got introduced into the Gaudiya philosophy, which was very fascinating. And he started chanting. Immediately, he chanted 64 rounds. He was police officer. He had 2 daughters, and became so much absorbed in chanting that he forgot to go to work. It's not that he ignored it; he just time passed without him even knowing. There's this what's his name? The person who hosts Srila Gurudev in Badger. Who hosts him in Badger? Nanda? No. Shravan's father-in-law, yes. Anyhow, he tells how, like, when Gurudev first came to Badger, and then he that was, they didn't know really who Gurudev is, just one sadhu who knew Srila Prabhupada, and then he came first time there, and they were not still aware of Gurudev's magic, but they were respectful. They were willing to host him, and then he stayed there in the house, and he came inside and he saw Srila Gurudev deeply absorbed in chanting Nam, like deeply, and then when he saw, like he describes, like when he saw him there, it's like he knew, like, this is outer worldly. This is not from this world. Like Srila Gurudev, like he saw his absorption and the taste with which he was chanting, and he did not notice, Srila Gurudev that time, he did not notice anything around them. He said he was there standing in the room for minutes, and Srila Gurudev, he would not take notice of him being so deeply absorbed in chanting Harinam. Yeah, so he tells he came in there, and then finally Gurudev, he came out, and then he asked him, then he saw him. Oh, what do you? How Gurudev recognized somebody is there in the room, and then I don't know, Shravan's father-in-law. He said, "How long you have been like this?" And Gurudev answers, "Forever." So, yeah, Srila Gurudev, when he came there, wherever Gurudev, when he went on his first tour, I mean, I've not been there, but it must have been, like, when you hear devotees describe how Srila Gurudev came there, must have been, I mean, it was magical for us also, but, magical for anyone who meets Gurudev, but to hear, like, how this, imagine, like, how he comes there, like a simple sadhu. That time, like when I met Srila Gurudev, he already, there was already 200 people at the festival. Gurudev had already come a few times. The devotees, there was, they had a following. But when he first time came to the West, he was just very simple, just traveling. He came just with one brahmachari, two brahmacharis, Naveen Krishna Prabhu, who now is Pujapad Madhav Maharaj, and Pundarik, Pundarik Prabhu. So they just 3 of them traveled, and nobody knew Gurudev. I mean, very, very few people knew about Gurudev. And then he would go to one place, and some devotees were open. You think, okay, one sadhu is coming from India. But then, Gurudev sat down, he started speaking, and whole of Vrindavan opened up to them. Whole of Vrindavan, Braj manifested there, and everybody was so captivated. And Gurudev transformed that place completely into Braj by the power of his character, by his presence. And then nobody wanted to leave him. Gurudev went to one place to give program there, and then he went to another place to give program there, and then all the people, or most of the people that were at the first place, they came to the second place also. And then those who were in the second place, they also came to the third place. So the entourage of Gurudev grew more and more because nobody wanted to leave, and everybody was so eager to get every drop of Harikatha that Srila Gurudev would speak. And then when he came to Badger, they were just friendly devotees, trying to follow Vaishnava etiquette and respect the sadhu. But then Gurudev, he transformed the whole village of Badger, the whole community there, Vaishnava community there, and they all became Gurudev's completely dedicated followers, actually ISKCON community. But they were all completely won over and captured by Srila Gurudev. He made that place into Braj. They have Giriraj Govardhan there. Gurudev's Bhajan Kutir is there. It's an amazing place. And amazing atmosphere there also. And so, Shri Guru Charana Padma, wherever Srila Gurudev walks, whatever he speaks, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitite Koriya Aika Arana Koriya Maneyash. That can never be forgotten. That is what Arana Koriya Maneyash. We should always hanker for that. We should always take these words, but also we cannot forget these words. We cannot forget one simple word that maybe at some point Srila Gurudev has spoken to us. Maybe Gurudev has only given us a glance once, or spoken to a word to us once, but we can never forget. That one word, that one glance will change our life forever. So that is the nature of Srila Gurudev, and an unfathomable power. I also remember, before I met Gurudev, I was not with I never met devotees really before. It's the first time really I was in a devotee assembly. Well, not counting one Gaur Purnima in Emserstraße. Just before the first Gaur Purnima in Emserstraße, 2002. And then Sachi gave me one Bhagavad Gita. And then I remember I came to that Gaur Purnima, and then the next thing I came to Gurudev's festival in De Glint in Holland. And then Gurudev came out, and you just had to bow down. There's no other way but to bow down. Had to. So it's like the sun was rising, spiritual sun. Pran Gopal was there also. I remember the darshan. Then Ratikanta Prabhu, he introduced me to Gurudev, and then somebody else introduced Pran Gopal and said, "Oh, he's an opera singer." And then Pran Gopal sang little opera. And yeah. I was always amazed to see how much Gurudev's focus, his the power of his mind was always so palpable. You could almost touch it. I remember one time I was asking Gurudev's questions in his room, and then I don't know who brought the prasadam. I think Madhav Maharaj. Madhav Maharaj brought prasadam, and then put the plate in front of Gurudev, and then I wanted to ask one more question, and Gurudev, he told me to go. Now he's taking prasadam. No more questions. I mean, he just waved me out of the room. And then I remember like how he was so, when he took that prasadam, he was so focused. Like he could not, he did not want to deal with my questions at all. He was fully focused on taking that prasadam, and was not like anything, it was very, was like a seva, like that's something that required a lot of attention and detail, and to properly honor that prasadam. And still, although Gurudev was like always so absorbed, and like when he was writing, or sitting in his room, like you see like he's completely, everything else around him disappears. He's not even there. And also I remember like when Gurudev was sleeping in his room, then there's also that was interesting because it felt like he was not there, like just a shell. Anyhow, I remember one time when Srila Gurudev, like although he's always absorbed with all these like high class services of translating and writing, and then preparing for his Harikatha, which was always so nice to see, like how Gurudev expertly, he's like a director. I mean, that's how I saw Srila Gurudev also. Like when he first appeared to me, it's like a director in of my life. And then also before like, huh? Ist der Arun im Bild? Alles okay, kein Problem. I like Gurudev always, like when he with the program, like I saw a few times, like when he was before the program, when he was meeting with the different sannyasis and senior devotees, and then he would direct the whole program for all the thousands of devotees there, like a big drama, like like a big, like transcendental pastime. He say, oh, you sing this song, you today you speak about this, and like directing, like putting all the pieces together to make a very impressive and wonderful experience for all the devotees. And then also, like you always saw Gurudev, like he took some notes before the class. Also, he always had some notes, little piece of paper like this size, very small piece of paper, and then he noted down all the important points he wanted to cover in the class. Anyhow, so very amazing to see like how Srila Gurudev, although he's so absorbed, like with with his seva, he was always aware of all the things that were going on, like on those festivals around him. Like he inquired about certain devotees, how they're doing, and if there's anything going on that all came to Gurudev, he would know about it, and he would be aware of what's going on. I remember also, like even simple things, I was just impressed. I mean, maybe it's not impressive, but like I remember one time we were doing Gurudev's massage, and then after the massage, then I was there still, and then Gurudev told me, he was going out, and like usually during Gurudev's massage, sometimes he would talk and chat with the devotees, and sometimes he was not even there, like he was completely absorbed somewhere else, and not like he felt like he was waiting for this to get over, like he was just offering his body so that we can have some benefit by serving him. But he was not really interested in what's going on. He's already somewhere else, with his mind, I don't know, composing, or I don't know what he's doing, some internal service. And then I remember one time, like many times it was like that, and then one time Gurudev, he feels like he's completely absorbed, but then suddenly he was there and he told me, put this, take this mattress away, take the oil away, like all these things that he wouldn't need to worry about because, he's the master. There's hundreds of people, willing to jump at anything, do everything. He doesn't need to tell anything, but still he was like himself making sure that even smallest details, that everything is taken care of and done. So, like, and I guess my funniest pastime with Gurudev is, he spoke sometimes strongly to me, and with the amazing thing was that, like with Gurudev, the mood was obviously I was never like sweet and intimate like with the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. There he's acting as Shiksha Guru. It's completely different position, and they're also very senior devotees. Very young, very, very small, insignificant. Then relationship, Gurudev was always mostly very stern and very deep and grave, and you always live, you always live with, respectful about Gurudev. I remember first time, Prabhuji took me to Gurudev's massage in Navadip Parikrama 2005. I remember then I was, touching Gurudev's hand, right hand, and it was like I was so, touching Gurudev's hand and massaging it. I was very like a little bit afraid, not afraid, but like hesitant. I didn't want to do anything wrong. I was thinking, this is the hand that's giving blessings. And then Brajanath was on the other side, on the left hand, and then only not by words, but only he showed like, he showed me, do it more strongly. Gurudev like strong massage. So like that. But anyhow, I always try to stay in the background and never like do service, but be unseen, if possible. But when it came to like having opportunity to like do some personal service for Gurudev, I was always eager to somehow get that opportunity. And also when it came to Harikatha, only the seniors sit in front. And I was always I never tried to push myself in the front. But when it came to Harikatha, I thought, then is boldness, being audacious is allowed. No problem. So I would sit in the front many times, and especially in India. And anyhow, the funniest thing I think that I remember with Gurudev, and he never, actually two things. One with massage, and then it was in 2007, festival in Silbersee, and there, mercifully, Haranamananda Prabhu and he had involved me with the festival, taking some responsibilities there, and so I was quite busy there at that festival, and also the following festivals. Mercifully, then also then later, Krishna Devi and Purushottam Prabhu. They always gave me nice services during the festivals, and anyhow, I was quite busy, but always every day I went to Gurudev's massage. But It was Gurudev takes massage twice a day. Once at lunchtime, like 11:30, before he takes lunch, and with full oil, and then takes bath afterwards, and then no full body at lunchtime, like 11:30, something like that, full body, and with like lots of oil and full thing. And after that he takes bath, and after bath he takes prasadam. And then in the evening time, then also massage, but then mostly just also full mostly only the arms and legs, and not so long, and not so much oil. So I was busy during the day, so I always went in the evening. And then in the late afternoon, and then I came, and I touched Gurudev's head. Mostly when I massaged Gurudev, I mostly did his arms or his legs. I never did Gurudev's head or his upper body. That was always for somebody else. Also, always amazing to see. That's the time when Prabhuji would meet Gurudev, like in India. Like you never see Prabhuji and Gurudev together, only in the morning time, when Gurudev comes, like after the whole parikrama party leaves to go on parikrama, then Gurudev comes into the kitchen, and then he speaks with Prabhuji. There's always like beautiful exchanges there, like every day Gurudev would come when the whole parikrama has gone. Gurudev would every day come to the kitchen and then discuss with Prabhuji the menu and what he's cooking and different services like that. And then at the 11:30 massage, then also always Prabhuji would come, and then Prabhuji would always be at Gurudev's head and have his head in his lap, like very sweet, like he would always be the one who's massaging Gurudev's head. And also I saw in the West, nobody ever massaged Gurudev's face. Nobody ever did that. Only Prabhuji would massage Gurudev's face. And they always, I remember in the West, I think Prabhu or somebody told me Gurudev doesn't like when people massage his face. But when Prabhuji is there, he did the whole thing like they do with the barber, this whole, massaging the face like this, and the beard and like that. And then that time also, then Gurudev, he asks how the devotees are taking prasadam, is everybody satisfied, and then Prabhuji would tell, what they've cooked, what is left over, like this, and then, and they're discussing many different things. And it was always very sweet to see their, like, very intimate relationship. They speak in Bengali or Hindi mostly. I don't understand much, but anyhow, but you can see the mood and the exchange. And I get just the gist of it. I mean, when they're talking about kitchen stuff, I understand enough to know that they're talking about kitchen stuff and prasadam and things like that. But anyhow, didn't really know what they're exactly talking about, just something. Anyhow, but very, very sweet to see that, like, you could see they have very intimate and sweet relationship with each other. And anyhow, I'm going too far. I came 2007 every evening. I came to Gurudev's massage, and then I touched Gurudev's hand, and then Gurudev pulls back his hand and says, "Oh, cold, cold hands, cold heart." And my heart goes like, like this, I mean, not so much for what Gurudev is saying, Prabhuji chastised me many times, Gurudev chastised me, no problem, I can handle, but that, like Gurudev, like you felt like, Gurudev pulls back his hand and you gave some pain to him, so there was like, oh my gosh, like I felt terrible. And then, but the funny thing is, why I'm telling this story, the interesting thing of this part of this story is that then, see, Pujabhat Madhav Maharaj,
he saw, he was observing in the evening time. Most of the time he would not massage himself because so many others were there eager for the service. He'd just be present in the room. And so he was looking there, and he just looked at me and she did, anyhow, continue. And then Gurudev saw this also, and then I continued, and Gurudev, he just accepted. He didn't say anything anymore. So, I realized that, like, how, by the mercy, like how Gurudev is bound by the love of his devotees. Like Gurudev, he completely depended on Pujabhat Madhav Maharaj and everything. Like, one time Gurudev, he went to Brazil, I think, and they did not want to let Pujabhat Madhav Maharaj through customs. They were on the airport, and Gurudev already had gone through, and then they wouldn't let Pujabhat Madhav Maharaj through. And then Gurudev said, I'm not going. I'm going to go back. If Pujabhat Madhav Maharaj is not coming, I'm not going anywhere. So Gurudev, he would not go one step to any program, to any place. There was 1,000 devotees waiting for Gurudev. Gurudev was willing to turn around, say, I'm not going there if Pujabhat Madhav Maharaj is not coming. He was like, he said, he takes care, like Gurudev said also sometimes in Harikatha, he glorified Pujabhat Madhav Maharaj, like how he's depending on him, how he's like taking care of all of his needs, and that he's completely dependent on him. He said also jokingly, he also would say sometimes, Brajanath Prabhu, he can even, Brajanath, he's saying how a great cook is Madhav Maharaj. He's like superb cook. And then he would say, Brajanath Prabhu, not so much. Brajanath Prabhu, he can even manage to burn water. But Madhav Maharaj, he can cook stones and they will be tasty. So anyhow, like I saw that time, like how like Gurudev is controlled by the love of his devotees, and how he's, Madhav Maharaj always was very kind to me. Like he's, like on that festival also, I didn't tell anybody, but he like somehow mystically knew. Like every morning, Mangal Aarti. During Mangal Aarti or before Mangal Aarti, Gurudev, he would every day he would do. It was just an idea. It's just an expression of my devotion. Anyhow, so Gurudev, he would after Mangal Aarti he would go on morning walk. So before the morning walk, I would go that track where Gurudev would go. He would go the same path every day. I would put incense on different spaces to make a nice fragrance. So I went secretly. Nobody saw me. I went and I put like incense here and there, and then it was funny because I remember then one day I came every day for the massage, and then one day Pujabhat Madhav Maharaj just gave me a big pack of like really nice incense, like many different packets. I don't know. Somehow he knew. That was funny. But the funny part of the story is that happened every day. Like that happened on the first day, Gurudev pulled back his hand and said cold, and that happened every day. And I went to like, I was like desperate. I became like so much, what can I do? Like I did, like, I would run, I would do push-ups, to get the blood flowing, and shake my, I rub my hands, I put my hands like in almost burning water, like boiling water, and still every day when I touched Gurudev, he would pull back his hands, cold, and when he does it also, he was like, it was serious. It was not like, every day it was like, ugh. And every day, my hands, I have they tend to be cold. Anyhow, but every day then same thing would happen. Pujabhat Madhav Maharaj would say, anyhow, continue. And then there was the pastime I had for that festival. It was sweet and terrible at the same time. And one time I tell just one more story. One where Gurudev, I started the temple in Stuttgart, and by Gurudev's order. And we finally got the, it took like how many, 4 months to find the place, and I was going from house to house, because I was like staying 3-4 days, 3-4 days at Madhuka's house, 3-4 days with, I don't know, with Manju and Raghunath Prabhu, and 3-4 days with this devotee and that devotee, like always going around, because I didn't want to give too much attention to one family or one person. With Braj Raj also, sometimes staying with some days with Braj Raj, like going around and like every day going on book distribution, and then looking for plots, buildings, places, and we never found one until then. Finally, I had exhausted all the devotees. And I went to Ramshara Prabhu for 2 months, and he taught me Shalagram Puja, and I worshipped his Radharman, his Shalagrams, and then at the end of the 2 months, then Madhuka Prabhu came just with a newspaper with all the things, and I saw the advertisement and I knew this is it. I immediately knew in my heart this is Gurudev's arrangement, and knew the ad. We went there anyhow. But then we started the temple, and I remember I wrote to Gurudev, okay, I got the temple now. I got this far, you told me to open a temple, now I have a temple, so what now? What's the next step? And then Gurudev, he just replied, oh, I'm very happy, my hearty blessings like this, that you will have like a strong community, everybody will be inspired, and all you do is you just make everybody feel welcome, just make everybody feel at home. That's all. That's all. That's what you wrote to me, and that's what I tried to do. But then, I'm not very qualified and struggling too much and not really having, mostly just associating with grihastas there, apart from Kundalata and Bihari and some others, so it's difficult for me, and it's like overwhelmed by lust again and again, and like not being able to, like it would always be okay, for some time, and then it would go down, my sadhana would go down. And so I remember after doing this for like 4 months, I came to Gurudev, and I remember every time I came to India, I was thinking I'm going to India and telling Gurudev, I'm sorry, I'm failed, I cannot do this. And when it happened, I think every time. But anyhow, that was the first time I came back, and I felt like a heavy heart, I felt like, oh, Gurudev, I'm not qualified for this, I'm not, my mind is, pulling me other ways, it's for me difficult to stay determined and like this. So I had a heavy heart. So I had a heavy heart, and I remember I came to Navadip Dham for Parikrama, and I was thinking, I'm going to go to Gurudev, and I'm going to tell him, this is too much for me, I'm not able to do this, and I'm just, getting a long story, short story. So anyhow, I was down, and then I remember I came to, I just arrived, I took shower, and then immediately I went to see Gurudev. And Gurudev, he had this separate house, right, outside the temple. Prabhuji had gotten him this extra house, because the temple wasn't even built yet, so there was no room there. So Prabhuji, huh? Mm-hmm. So that Gurudev was staying there. And I went there together with, somehow Uttam Prabhu was there also. Uttam Prabhu was like, Uttam Prabhu, like very senior brahmachari from Orissa. Young, like me, probably a little bit older maybe. Yes. Yeah. Anyhow, he's like, I stayed with him once when I first time was in Mathura. I stayed with him in one room for like 3 months or something. So we have a like sweet relationship, because we shared one room. He's like, I remember like I was a new devotee, still new now. Anyway, he's like always getting up very, very early in the morning, chanting. And anyhow, So no, this is a very important part of the story, because he's a very senior devotee and had so much respect for him. Because I stayed with him in his one room and I saw like how he's doing sadhana, like how he's very learned, very very like proper Paka brahmachari, and anyhow, and he's very sweet also, very sweet devotee. So anyhow, I met him there, and then we went together. We went up to Srila Gurudev. And then Gurudev, he was sitting on his bed, just in a gamsha and a shirt, and we gave our obeisances, and he welcomed us, and then he gave us Jagannath Prasadam, that was like standing next to his bed, like a box of Jagannath Prasadam, and then I wanted to say, I wanted to tell Gurudev my heavy heart, and that I cannot do this, and like this, And then Gurudev, he didn't even let me speak. He said, "Oh no, you're like," and then you're very like you're. No, I don't even remember how he said it. I haven't told this story in a long time. He said, "No, you're very strong. Look at him." And he looked at Uttam, because I'm a little bit more strong body, but Uttam is very skinny, very thin. So he said, "Look at him, only one wind and he will be blown away. But you're strong." Like he said it like this. "But you're strong." And then I was puzzled. I didn't understand what Gurudev was saying. And then I went outside with Uttam. Gurudev dismissed us. I went outside and then asked Uttam, "What did Gurudev just say?" And then he repeated it to me. And then I had to laugh so hard, because it seemed to me like, Gurudev was making a joke, because he's such a qualified senior devotee, but because of our bodily features, he's saying, "No, you're strong and he's weak." So that, I don't know, it made me laugh so hard, and then laugh so much. And then I remember by the end of that laughter, all that heaviness, all that darkness, all that problem, all this mental thing was completely gone. And I was just happy to be there, and and basically like this happened every time I went to India. I came with a heavy heart, and then I met Gurudev, and then immediately everything got lifted again, and I was again inspired to continue. Okay, anyhow, Hare Krishna, I'm sorry it took so much time. Hare Hare Bol. Ja, 2 oder 3 Monate während Chaturmasya. 2004 waren wir dort zum Puri Parikama. Zum Purushottam-Monat 2004.
Und dann war es mit Puri 2004?
Nein, wir waren in Puri einen Monat und danach.
Jai